All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Back in 2013, we didn't know what was going to happen to the Big East Conference. The past 10 years, or the previous decade rather, saw the Big East ravaged by defections as some of its football members, such as Boston College, parted for the ACC. But you can make the case that the departure that hurt the Big East the most was when Pitt and Syracuse decided to leave the conference as they were viewed by many as part of its backbone. But credit to the remaining members of the Big East as they simply decided to distance themselves from the sport of football and get back to their roots, which is basketball. The Big East still has some of its original members in St. John's, Georgetown, Providence, and Seton Hall, as well as Villanova, who joined the Big East in 1980. Now, from there, the remaining schools in the Big East didn't have an FBS football program, which meant that the conference was once again going to focus on basketball. And once you factored in both Marquette and DePaul, who joined the Big East in 2005, all seven basketball schools that were left were Catholic schools. And then they focused on adding other Catholic and private schools to their fray. So in 2013, when the decision was made to split up the original Big East, the football members go their way, the basketball members stay around and keep the Big East name. Creighton, Xavier, and Butler were all added to the conference. Now, from there, the Big East was able to negotiate a new television deal with Fox that their basketball members all agreed to. And from there, the conference was off to the races. Now, as it's once said, in Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. And the result of the Big East, when it was all said and done, we saw Connecticut come back to the conference in 2020. Now, UConn's return to the Big East was a win-win for all parties, as Connecticut didn't want to leave the Big East in 2013, as they were shown the door basically by the disrespected basketball schools. But when Connecticut was in the AAC, they were a fish out of water. And, I talked about this, with Temple last night joining the American as well. But UConn just cut bait and they decided to come back to the Big East. The Big East was more than happy to have them back because I really feel like they didn't want Connecticut to go per se because Connecticut was another one of those original members. Connecticut decided to be a football independent and then have all of their other varsity sports compete in the Big East. And that's given them a great, foothold for success once again for both their men's and women's basketball programs. Because when you think about UConn athletics, it's their coveted basketball programs that you think about first. And now the end result. You got 11 teams in the Big East. You have a strong basketball conference that is very exciting from top to bottom. The field of 64 for the NCAA tournament is set to begin tomorrow. I know the playing games were tonight and last night, but nonetheless, of those 64 teams, five of them are from the Big East. So if you're the Big East, you got to be happy. You got five of your 11 members in the NCAA tournament this year. And for me, I think it's important for this conference because, again, they've gotten back to their strength, which is basketball. Everybody is on the same page, and that is important here. And it's just like for me, what it was for the 1980s of the Big East, which was its heyday. This conference is defined by quality coaches. You think about it from top to bottom. You have the likes of Sean Miller at Xavier, Thad Matta at Butler, Shaka Smart at Marquette, Ed Cooley at Providence. Will he leave Providence to go to Georgetown? We don't know, but nonetheless, he still will be remaining in the conference. So, but at the end of the day, and I can go on and on. You have very quality coaches in this conference, and that's what the Big East was made off of. They were made off of quality programs led by quality coaches. So, with all of that said, you look at the football conferences around collegiate athletics, they're struggling to stay together. And I say that because the pay is not equal. Obviously, the SEC is getting more, the Big Ten is getting more, and then you have other prestigious programs in other conferences, such as the Big 12 and Pac 12, a la Oklahoma, Texas, UCLA, and USC, who are saying, wait a minute, why are these schools that are not as good as us getting more money and we're getting X amount of dollars over here? We want to be a part of this party. It only works when everybody is on the same page, when everybody is committed. And that's what we're seeing basketball wise from the Big East. You think about it, there probably could be another shakeup down the road in collegiate athletics. Is Florida State happy in the ACC? Is Clemson happy in the ACC? What's going to happen with the Pac 12? Is everybody going to be happy with whatever television deal is potentially worked out? We don't know. But nonetheless, for a conference to work, everybody has to be on the same page. And this is what we're seeing with the Big East. And that's a credit to their commissioner, Val Ackerman. She's come in, done a tremendous job working with this league. And the league is flourishing, in my opinion, not to the point yet like it was when it started under the late, great Dave Gavitt. No, but still, it is a league that is definitely recognizable. They're probably going to look to work out a new television deal with Fox sooner rather than later. It's going to be interesting to see if the Big East looks to add a team or two. We don't know. Maybe a VCU from the Atlantic 10, maybe a Dayton or a St. Louis. But for me, with the Big East, I really feel like they don't need to add too many teams. It's one of those scenarios where less is better. I think, the original Big East, once they had to expand in order to keep the football schools happy, they kind of got a little carried away with the 16 team conference. And like now, obviously, we're going to see it with the SEC and of course the Big Ten. But nonetheless, the bigger conferences only work when you have X amount of quality teams in said conference. And I think the Big East did a good job when they started over with 10 teams. You added UConn to make 11. 12 probably would make it good, 13 maybe pushing it. But the thing is, you just don't want to add schools just for the sake of adding schools. And I think that's something that the Big East looked at. They brought in Creighton, Xavier, and Butler, three programs that have quality basketball traditions. You bring UConn back, that only adds to it. Maybe a Dayton. Dayton's been a quality program in recent years. You can also make the case for VCU and in the Atlantic 10 as well. So we got to wait and see. But nonetheless, this Big East Conference, this new Big East Conference, 10 years into things, has really shown that they're a player, still a player on the college basketball scene. We've seen Villanova get the three Final Fours. They won two under former head coach Jay Wright, and they're looking to get things back on track rather under new head coach Kyle Neptune. But at the end of the day, you ask yourself, will things ever be under control in collegiate athletics? And like I've addressed it before, unless there is a legit governing body that can get things under control, it's not going to happen because at the end of the day, schools are only going to go wherever they can get the biggest payday. And unless there's an equal playing surface for everybody, it's going to continuously be a problem, especially with the football schools. But nonetheless, getting back to the Big East, this they were left on life support about 10 years ago. These basketball programs that have been in the Big East were disrespected for a long time by the football schools. The original Big East was destroyed on greed. These guys have come together. They're working together, and it's helping this conference flourish. And let's just see where things in the Big East will go from here. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.